Hello there, this is Karen from Crafty Little Miss K. On a rather cold and cloudy day, they have forecast snow. We've got some very heavy cloud out there, but no snow at the moment, so let's just hope they get that wrong. I've been asked to do some tutorials on boxes suitable for handmade chocolates and cookies. So to start, here's one that should hold roughly 12, depends on how big your chocolates are, so 12 handmade chocolates. I've used Tranquil Tide from Stampin' Up and made it all sort of ribbon, all the ribbon and everything all in the same colour as well. But I'm going to jazz up the next box. I'm going to use Tranquil Tide again, but I'm going to jazz it up a bit using a bit of gold heat embossing, which will be fun because I've not actually filmed that before. So hopefully I'll get it right first time. Otherwise I'll make an awful mess and have to start again. Anyway, so what we'll need, if I just put off to one side, what we'll need, and I have pre-scored this, but I'll show you on the scoring board what you do. You need a piece of cardstock, like I said, mine's Tranquil Tide, and that measures 9 inches by 6 7/8. And then I've got a small piece, this is for the top flap, and that piece is 4.5 by 2. And then I've just got a little bit of scrappy, this is very vanilla by the way, and I've got a matching very vanilla, just scrappy old piece because I'm just going to stamp the sentiment in there. It should just about fix it in there. And then for the decoration, I'm using the beautiful peacock from this year's celebration, and I'm using this little swirly bit here. And also one of my favourite sets, which is the More Than Chocolate, and there's this little sentiment here that says chocolate makes everything better. And I totally agree. Got them all ready to go, but I've got nothing pre-stamped, so that'll be fun. So let's move everything out the way. And then finally I've just got the 1.5 circle punch just to punch out the sentiment. Okay, so let's bring up my scoreboard just to show you. Let's move these out of the way, otherwise I'll knock them down the back of my desk and never get them again. So that should be positioned about right. So what you need to do on the long side, you just need to score at 3 and then at 6 1/8. Turn it round. On the short side you'll be scoring at 1/2 inch and then at 1 1/8 and at 5 and, well, I've got a scroll here, 5 3/4, which is that one there, and 6 3/8. So that's 1 2 3, which is that one there. And then just before we put the scoreboard away, come back and at 5/8 of an inch just score down to the second score line across. Right, and then to make sure that you do this one in the right place down here, just flip it over, do a little notch at the top, and then when you flip it back you'll be able to see where the notch was and you'll know where your score line is. Swizzle it around, do exactly the same again. So 5/8 of an inch, flip it over, little notch, flip it back, and then you'll see where the little line was to do the little line down there. There is going to be a little bit more scoring, but we'll do that later. So for now, let's move my scoreboard out the way. And what we'll need is some scissors. Okay, so for the next part, and I'll bring my little ones as well because I'll do a little bit of snipping in a minute. Okay, so what we're going to do is, let's make sure this is still on camera. So this little square here, and this long here, and this long bit here, and this and corresponding on the other side, we're going to cut those away completely. So I like to actually turn it over so I see the bumpy side. So just cut straight up there. Okay, and then, yep, and the same on this side. I always go just inside that bumpy line so you can't actually see it when the box is made up. Okay, and nearly there. I like this because there's not too much wastage. Okay, so I'll just put those in my bin. So we're left this shape, and now what we're going to do, we're going to cut down these long flaps straight up to that first score line horizontally. I will do this over the other side. So straight up to the score line and up to the score line. Okay, one more. Okay, so you're left with this now, the loose pieces here. Okay, now we need to actually fold and press all those edges down. These pieces first, and then these ones. Okay, now if you've got a corner rounder, doesn't matter which one you use, I'm going to just dig out my other one to show you. I've got this kind of one, and I've got this one, which is a crocodile corner chomper. Okay, so on this one you've got a choice of 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch, but it doesn't really matter which size you use. And basically all you want to do is, if we just actually fold these pieces back, we just want to round off all the corners that you see. So let's make sure I get around the right way. So all the way in, snip. Oh, that didn't go very well, did it? Oh, maybe it is that one then. Just bear with me a sec. Yes, it is. 1/2 inch. I thought that looked a bit odd. And that one. And let's move that out of the way. And that one. And finally that one. If you've got some rough edges, I don't know if you can see this rough edge just here, you can just use your scissors just to smooth it off a bit. I never seem to get it in exactly the right place. And I suppose that's the fun of live filming. Okay, so we've also got some other corners, these ones here, these ones here. So what I did on those ones is I folded everything up, so the long flaps and the little ones, and then you can easily get it into your corner tool, whichever one you're using. And there we go. So that one didn't seem to go very well. Just do that one again. That's better. Okay, so you're left with lots of lovely rounded corners. Now then, what we're going to do now, using the little scissors, where this fold line or this score line is here, is just on the inside, working outwards, just snip up about halfway or maybe just over. But on this one, you'll start at the same edge, if that makes sense. So not on the inside, on the same edge, and snip away from you. Okay, turn it over, do exactly the same, snip away from you about halfway. Mine's just slightly over, just to make sure. There we go. And then what you're going to do now is, if you bring these up, you'll find that they should, provided I've measured the card correctly, just sit in nicely. That's pulling it a little bit. Okay, and this one, the same. Have I got that? Yes, I have. There we go. Okay, now for the next part, what we need to do is work out where that fold's going to be. So if you just fold it up like that, okay, and then either use your fingernail, or if I reach down and get my scoring tool off my board there, just make a little notch roughly like that. You can see that. Let's bring it around so you can actually see it. Just mark where you would want it to fold over, and do this one as well. Bring it over and just mark where you'd want it to fold. This one's not fitting exactly right, but it'll be all right when it's folded up and glued. Okay, and then if you bring your scoring tool back, the board back rather, and we'll just undo these so you can actually see what you're doing, like this. Put it up against the edge like that, and you'll be able to see where the score line is. Now that's right in the middle of that. I'm actually going to make it just slightly inwards, so on the inside, because I did the other one and it seemed to be a bit high. So we'll try this one. It'll probably be too tight now, but we'll give it a go anyway. Move it out of the way. In there, make sure it's straight. Okay, so that should be it now. No more scoring board. Okay, and then just fold those new score lines. Give a little bit of a press. So this time, when you do it up, like this, where's the edge? Oh, that way around. If you find these are a little tight, like that one was a little tiny bit tight, you could actually just snip just slightly outside of it, because it's going to be all glued down anyway, so it won't really matter too much. Let's try in that one. That's better, that's better. Oh no, that's the other way now. Okay, where do I want it? Do you know what? Actually, it fits. It does fit. Yes. Right. Anyway, don't fiddle, Karen. Okay, so this time when you bring up the edges, they will fold over like that. And hopefully you'll have a fairly smooth corner. And what I've done, you can use double-sided tape. I'm using Fast Fuse by Stampin' Up. I tell you what, this stuff is amazing. I absolutely love it. You have to give it a little flick though. It is super strong, ideal for boxes. And there you go. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and do this away from me so that you can see. Just bring it up and press, and then just give it a good old burnish down to make sure it's stuck, which it has. Same on this one. Bring it up. Hope my head doesn't get in the way. I think it's going to there. This is the edge that's a bit funny. Why is that so funny? Where does it need to go to be suitable? I'm actually going to just go this side this time, because I think maybe I did it too big before. The funny thing is, when I made the other box, it was spot on. So maybe my measuring's slightly off on this one. Okay, like I was saying, so let's fold that bit back so you can see what I'm doing. So yes, bring it up and push it down and give it a good old burnish. There we go. And then there we go. So there's your box. Alright, so actually that score is probably in the wrong, slightly, do you know what, doesn't matter. I tend to fiddle and faddle too much. Right, there we go. There's your box. Okay, so put that to one side and bring in the little beads here. And then, like I said, I'm going to be doing some embossing, so always prepare your cardstock, because no matter how clean your hands are, there's always a little bit of grease or sweat, you know, from all the pores in your fingers. So just give it a good old, I'm just going to hold the corner because that bit's going to be cut away, it's going to be rounded off. So there we go. So actually I might as well do that scrap as well if I can find it. There it is, move that out of the way. Okay, so basically what's doing is just making sure it's got a nice surface for the gold powder to cling to. So let's get this ready. So move everything right out of the way for this. And I'm going to need a piece of paper. I'm just going to sheet. I just use copier paper. Fold it in half, ready to catch the dust. But before we do that, we're going to stamp. So using the swirl and using Versamark, which I didn't get out. And for Versamark, anybody who doesn't know, I think most people, crafters do know, but if you're not sure, Versamark is kind of like a sticky, clear ink that you can use to, how did I do it before? I did it this way. So I'm just going to put it where I can see it, about halfway up, and then just stamp down and away. I'm not sure, I might turn that over and do it that way, might be easier. And then about halfway up, I think I went a bit low on that one, looks like it's quite near the edge, but it doesn't really matter. And then this one, which is the chocolate, makes everything better. And then just right in the middle, stamp. Obviously, if you'd hold it up to the light, you can just make out those bits of ink. And here comes the fun part now. So get your gold embossing powder, and I've got a little spoon up here I use this to, oh, and this is where we need the paper. And then this came from one of those little egg things a couple of years ago. I was supposed to be on a diet, but if I can be a good girl until Easter, I might allow myself an egg or something then. Right, lots of it, lots and lots of powder, but you're going to tap most of it off anyway, so, and it goes a long way, this stuff, so give it a little flick, and what you can see there is the powder ready. And let's just do the same on this one. Oh, look, see what I mean about, this is why you always need to do your embossing buddy, because that was my fingerprint. So if I just tap the back of this, okay, and most of it's come off luckily. So there we are, that's that one. And then always make sure your powder goes back in the container and put the lid on. I've got a tiny bit on my workplace here which I will just brush off. Let me just put that back in its place. I don't want it getting all over everything, so I'll clean it off later, but there we go, that's all done. Okay, let's bring back the card and the card. Okay, now I'm going to turn my heating tool on. It's going to be quite noisy, but you need to turn it on and give it a chance to warm up before you actually go on to the powder here. It doesn't blow it away, it's not like a hairdryer, but it's always better if it starts hot, so bear with me a sec. I'm just testing it against my hand, but be careful you don't burn yourself. And here we go. So, spin this right up so you can see. You can see it starting to go. That's the noise out the way as well. So the card does buckle a little bit. What I tend to do is, while I'm working elsewhere, I'll grab just a big block and just stick it on there. This one isn't too bad because I'm actually going to punch this one out. So just do that now. And make sure it's roughly centre. And there we go. That's not good for anything now, it goes in the bin. Okay, so let's swap places. Now then, the piece that was nearest the edge, I'm actually going to make that the top. So bringing my corner round the back and remembering to use a 1/2 inch side this time, I'm actually just going to do the corners like that. And then that is ready to go on the box. So bring my box back, that's going to go on like that. So I always, at this stage, if I'm sticking card to card, I always use this white glue and then turn it over. Actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it down flat like that, and then when you pop it down, if it's not in the right place, because you've used wet glue, you can actually move it until it's the place you want it, and then just press down. And I can just see a little bit of green there. Skip to that. So. Okay, so let's put the pot back. Now then, this is quite plain around the edge, and I don't actually have any gold ink, so I'm going to bring out the Tranquil Tide ink, matches the card, and I'm just going to roll it like a wheel over the ink pad gently. That just gives it a nice little edge to it, so it doesn't sort of merge into the cream on the, if you can see that, there we go. So leave it over there to dry, close my ink. Stick it away. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is make the holes for the ribbon to go through, and I'm using this lovely vanilla ribbon with the gold edging to go with the gold embossing. So what we need to do now is roughly work out where you want those holes to be, and I find the easiest way to do it is to use the, I don't know if you can see that, let's see, you can't see the bottom, I'll do it on the side then, is just use the ruler across around the edges of my paper here, and I'm going to use 4 as the middle, so put that there, and then you can see, and I reckon about 1/2 inch either side, so if we come down about that much, I think, tiny little dot just to, like that. Look, they're not too bad at all, they're quite straight. And then get my hole punch and just go in and punch a hole like that. And then what we want to do is make matching holes in the bottom. So just lay it down, your pencil again, and just give it, it's hard because it goes down, to just roughly, maybe I can see that, just see there's 2 little dots there, and punch again. Okay, there we are. So where's my ribbon gone? There it is. And I won't cut it to length just yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop it in onto the bottom flap and bring it out onto the, up again. And the idea of this is to make sure it's nice, and as obviously the hole is smaller than the ribbon is, but if you make it as flat as you can, make sure it's not twisted. That's probably way too much ribbon, but it doesn't matter with my scissors. Just cut, and then when you do this you can just pop it in through the top. I will be cutting a little bit more off the ribbon, it will fray as I'm putting it through the hole. So bring those down. That's it, that's that bit done. Now before I actually do the ribbon up, I want to know where exactly this is going to sit, and I'm going to sit it up on some dimensionals, like double-sided foam pads. These are quite large, I only need a couple. These are lovely and easy to peel off the backs on these. Some of the ones I've used in the past have been awful. I've had to use my craft knife or a pokey tool, and then just sort of put it at a bit of an angle. There we go. Look better with gold. Maybe I'll do the same kind of thing, but with the embossing, the Versamark next time. Okay, so tie a ribbon live. Oh, that's not too bad. Oh, no, that's a bit twisted, but I will faff with this. I'm not going to faff, I promise. There we go. That'll do. And then just snip off your ribbon tails like that. And there we go. A nice little cute little box that you can use for homemade chocolates. You can use them in any colour you like. Obviously that's using that's 5/8 of an inch, and this one is a lot smaller. I think that's right anyway. But yes, you can see you can use either thicker ribbon or thinner ribbon, and it makes a really pretty box. So I hope you like it. Let's move everything out the way, and thanks for coming and watching, and hopefully put a little remark on there to say if you've had a go yourself. But more importantly, I would love you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you could look down, roughly down, where's my hand? There it is. You look roughly down here somewhere down there, you'll find the subscribe button. And then next time I make a tutorial, you'll be able to watch, and hopefully I'll do something that you enjoy, that you'd like to have a go at. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.